Yeah, thanks. That's great. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. Myriad Uranium is in a very interesting situation right now. The share price has risen a lot lately, and there are a lot of things happening. It's a very dynamic month for us. The past month has been exciting, and the next month is also going to be very exciting. So, as you'll see from the presentation, you'll see that dynamism and state of flux reflected in the presentation. So much has changed in the last short while. So this is our title page. You can see we're advancing the Copper Mountain Uranium Project in Wyoming. Wyoming is the most important jurisdiction in the world right now for various reasons that I'll get into. So we're lucky that it's our jurisdiction of focus. Again, I'll explain that. It's a short legal, well, I don't know if it's short, but an important legal page. The main thing that you need to know is that I'll be talking about pounds of uranium. The pounds of uranium I talk about are historical. They were estimated in the 1970s by Union Pacific Railway. They did excellent work, very robust work. They had the best experts at the time, and they drilled about 2,000 drill holes. So the work was very good, but we have to call it historical work because it was done a long time ago. This is me. I've been in the mining business for 20 years. After I left corporate law, I became an entrepreneur in mining, and I've been very fortunate. I've worked with great people, and I've built from scratch several companies that have had exits and have made investors significant money. I've also been involved in some very large companies. So everybody, please check me out on LinkedIn if you like, just to confirm. And I also invite everybody to contact me at my email there, and I've even given my mobile number. I'm always happy when potential investors or current investors call me to discuss Myriad. So I have a glossy presentation with all the graphics and everything that everybody is used to in these things. But this morning, I thought I'd go straight to it with this slide so that everybody can see what's going on. Get right to the heart of the situation. The fact is, we have an exciting uranium project in the middle of Wyoming. The United States is the hot jurisdiction right now, and Wyoming is the most important state in the United States for uranium. So we are there, and we have a project, the Copper Mountain Uranium Project, that was almost a mine in 1979. And Union Pacific Railway was developing it with the help of California Edison, that had planned to build a lot of nuclear power plants in California during the 1980s. All of that was cut off in 1979 with the 3 Mile Island nuclear incident, let's call it. And the US nuclear sector, uranium sector, went into a bit of a deep freeze that lasted a long time. But the market is just realizing what we have here. We have a project, a very large project in Wyoming that was about to be a mine. And then it has not been developed since. I'll explain why, and that's partly because it has had split ownership in the intervening period. We are the first group, ourselves and our earn-in partners, Rush Rare Metals, we're the first group to have unified ownership over the whole project area. The second point here, just last week, we closed an important financing for us. We set out to raise $5 million several months ago, and we just closed our final tranche. It all aggregates to 5.9 million. And we have excellent investors. Our cap table is very strong. I'll explain more about that. Sophisticated investors who understand the project and have done due diligence. For the reasons I just told you, the fact that our project is strong, we're in not just the United States, but in Wyoming, and that we've closed a financing with excellent investors. Our share price is really moving. It does help that uranium is in favor right now too, and the uranium price is rising as we speak. Also, we are drilling. Drills are turning right now. 3 drills, 2 diamond, 1 RC, and we have a lot of feet or meters of drilling planned. We're probably on our 17th or 18th hole right now, I'm guessing, out of a potential 40, 50, 60 holes, depending on how deep we go on the various holes. I'll explain a bit more about that. Finally, Singular Research out of the United States has just released a report on us. I'll show you the cover page in a minute, and I'm sure you can obtain it, or I can send it to you. The price target is $1.84 Canadian, and it's very well supported, that price target. And yet we are at just 41 cents. And as I note that we're rising, the market is alive to us. Okay, so what's going on? Let me just show you our cap table slide first so that you can see where we're at, 59 million shares. I am one of the larger shareholders. A few months ago, I was the second largest shareholder on the NOBO list. I may still be. I always invest in every round and significant money. As you can see, we've got some big names on our cap table. This is the cover page of the Singular Research report. You can see that's US dollars on the left there, 12-month target price of $1.35 US. That's $1.84 Canadian, roughly. And this is happening this was from yesterday, a tweet I sent out just so you can see that drilling is happening. So here's what I wanted to get into. What's going on? What's driving the whole situation? I think many of you will already understand uranium and what's going on, but very briefly, since about 2010, since Fukushima, there's been very little investment in finding uranium and developing uranium projects. And then all of that, there's always going to be a price to pay in the mineral sector when there's underinvestment. You get a whiplash effect, and uranium prices have nearly tripled over the last couple of years. That's continuing. They're rising quickly again. At the same time, in the last few years, the world has decided to return to nuclear. So there's a big build out happening. China is building reactors as quickly as they can. So are lots of other countries. And then the West, where it's a little harder to build new reactors because of permitting and regulation. In the West, old reactors are being extended or turned back on. And not only that, the big tech companies, AI, et cetera, are linking themselves with nuclear power plants. So demand is going up. We have another situation, geopolitics. Of course, Russia has invaded Ukraine. That's destabilized a lot of things. And then Kazakhstan, which produces about 43% of the world's uranium, is having serious problems keeping up. Kazatomprom, the state uranium producer, has been really, I would say, infiltrated by the Russian security services slash, it's hard to explain exactly what's happened, but at Kazatomprom, a lot of the leadership, 2 CEOs, two CFOs, 2 COOs, and a lot of middle management have been defenestrated, ejected, or have quote unquote left. Very unstable situation there. I think at least 1, maybe 2 senior executives are in prison right now in Kazakhstan. Really interesting dynamic situation. And production at Kazatomprom is falling. This is great for the uranium price because as Kazakhstan produces less, demand is going up, uranium prices are going to rise quickly. To that point, Bank of America and Cantor Fitzgerald and others are forecasting big increases in the uranium price, even over the next couple months. I would agree. I follow this all very closely, and we're in for a wild next 2 years, I would say. But the next several months, uranium is, in my view, is going to be rocketing upwards. Finally, and most importantly, we have a very exciting project, the Copper Mountain Uranium Project. And I'll tell you more about that. So these are the factors driving the situation, the greater context, and then specific to us. Just going to show you a few quotes. This is from August, Cantor Fitzgerald. And then some more news. You probably heard Microsoft and Constellation have linked up, and there's going to be a lot more of this. Now, the U.S. political situation, well, there's an election coming up. You may have heard. I don't even know what to think about that at the moment. But thankfully, on a bipartisan basis, the U.S. wants to repatriate uranium production. This is relevant to us being in Wyoming. The U.S. consumes, or at least their fleet of nuclear power plants consumes 40 million pounds roughly of uranium a year and supplies virtually none, now up to about 2 million pounds of production. That whole shortfall is being imported, and there are some civil stockpiles, but the U.S. wants to fix this and get their production up to 40 million pounds. It's very exciting for companies like ours that have big historical uranium deposits inside the United States. It's a lot of government support and investment pouring in now into the United States. You can see what's going on here with supply and demand. I won't linger on this too long because I think many of you are attuned to the situation, the uranium supply deficit. West is highly vulnerable. A lot of the finished fuel rods come out of St. Petersburg and make their way to the U.S. They actually, a lot of U.S. utilities get fuel for their reactors from Russia. That is now in doubt. More on the supply gap. Geopolitical risk, I just talked about it. And you can see more on the supply situation and the U.S. in particular, in the U.S. in particular. A lot of data. Big data is going to be thirsty for electricity here. And again, that this connects with the demand situation. Projections are all being revised right now. And the world is going to need a lot of uranium. But there's no clear answer as to where it's going to come from. Okay, let's quickly, I've given you the background in the uranium sector. We have a very interesting project in Copper Mountain. We have a 75% earnable interest with a path to 100%. This is roughly what it looks like. This is our public-facing map. You can see there are a lot of prospects, and actually there are several historical uranium mines at our project that produced significant uranium during the Cold War. So we know it's a viable area. Several significant mines produced at a high grade. And that's why Union Pacific Railway came in the 1970s and took over the project and was advancing it to produce uranium for these Edison reactors in California that actually never got built. But our project was on the cusp of being a mine in 1979, 1980. You can see some quotes on the left. Neutron Energy is now Encore. Encore is a big uranium company, big US company, well known, but Neutron was absorbed into Encore. Neutron held part of our project area from about 2005 to 2012. A lot of the rest was held by a company called Strathmore. That's a predecessor to the old Strathmore, or sorry, to the new Strathmore, and then the F companies, F3, Fission Uranium, etc. You may have heard of. Here's a bit about the mine plan. You can see on the right, one of the concepts was a 6-pit mine plan that Union Pacific had developed. While Union Pacific was at Copper Mountain, they spent a huge amount of money advancing it. We get the benefit of that. And we have a fair amount of their data too. And we get to leverage that also. So it's a really exciting situation. We're a small company with a big project that had the equivalent of 117 million Canadian spent on it, today's dollars. Union Pacific drilled 2,000 boreholes. We have the locations for all of those holes, and we have the results, the data relating to a fair number of those holes. Fortunately, we have the data relating to holes in important parts of the deposit, or important parts of the project area. That is very, very valuable to us. And in fact, we're using that data right now and to guide our drilling, which we're doing right now. Given us a huge head start. It's very valuable. And that is why you see our share price rising. That is why you see Singular, and I think other analysts will come soon, giving us a big price target, which is in line with, and in my view, even short of what you might see over the next 12 months. Grades are good at the Canning high-grade area or area of special interest, and that's where we're drilling. You can see that this bottom bullet, second from the bottom, that Union Pacific believe there's 65 million pounds or more at the project. This is based on their 2,000 holes. They had entirely different standards back then. Everybody should understand. Different than reserve, indicated, inferred, et cetera, that we have today. But potentially one of the biggest projects in Wyoming. Big historical resource estimates, and we're drilling and we're starting the process of bringing these historical resource estimates current, and our hope is to go well beyond them if we can. Just a few quotes here that I want to share. These are from some of the documents that we have, historical data and reports from previous owners. We don't really put this several hundred million pounds quote in our public-facing documents because it's, it sounds promotional. However, this is what Neutron Energy, now Encore, believed when they reviewed the project in depth. And so that is the upside potential of our project. Here's a summary page, a little bit more. I'll let you take a glance at it, but I just want to point out this is where we're drilling currently, inside that box at the Canning deposit. The investment thesis, I think I've set it out. Uranium is rising. There's a bipartisan support in the United States. We're in Wyoming, which is the most important state. 4 out of the 5 producing uranium projects in the US are in Wyoming, or that was as of several months ago, at least. And it's the historic center of uranium production in the United States. Very strong support for the sector. Near the bottom, I've changed the market cap or blocked it because actually our market cap keeps rising. I think we're now around 20 million market cap. Again, Wyoming, all the big companies are there, Cameco, Peninsula, UR Energy, UEC, et cetera. Here's a timeline. I'll let all of you who are interested in our company, let you download our PowerPoint from the website. You can look into us. At the very least, I suggest everybody add Myriad to their ticker or tracker, their stock tracker. Keep an eye on us. I think it's going to be a very interesting company to watch. Even if you don't invest, you'll be able to see a company from scratch advance, grow, turn into a multi-$100 million market cap company, and then ultimately, we hope achieve a liquidity event that makes investors a large amount of money. So even if you don't invest, please keep an eye on us and follow along. I think it's going to be very interesting. Just a little bit more, you can see our map here. Those little dots are our historic drill holes. We have a lot of data, as I mentioned. This is data we purchased or have acquired in various ways. That's given us a huge advantage and let us jump way ahead on this project. One thing I'll mention, and before I wrap up, is that Union Pacific, something very, very interesting about our project. Union Pacific just aimed for the dotted mineralization in this graphic. You can see it's fairly shallow. It's in the wagon bed formation. So Union Pacific drilled vertical holes into the red dots, and they were looking for low to medium grade mineralization. It was only at the very end of their tenure, 1978-79, they started to realize that the high grade seems to sit in these near vertical faults that you see there, the red splotches, and we are going for those in our drilling, and we may be able to go well beyond what Union Pacific achieved in terms of pounds of uranium and grade of uranium. They virtually never drilled deeper than 182, 183 meters. We are going deeper. There may be, and some of their holes terminated in mineralization. And so there may be quite a bit of uranium beneath. Our recent geophysics certainly seems to be encouraging in that regard. So we're going to investigate that. I'm going to jump ahead and it's a bit of a corporate overview. Those share numbers are a little out of date because we just last week closed our financing. Here's the up-to-date cap table. I just want to go ahead and tell you that our board is truly exceptional. It's built for a big company, a leading company. Marvin Singer just joined. He was 40 years leading corporate lawyer, mining lawyer, recently left Norton Rose as a senior partner. Ian Archibald has recently joined us. He was a managing director at Ontario Teachers Pension Fund, one of the largest pension funds in North America. He was managing director of some of the tech funds. We also have Jim Davis, second from the right. Jim is a very important technical advisor to us. He was the manager of Union Pacific's exploration at Copper Mountain during the 1970s. He knows a lot of its secrets. He says there's a lot more secrets to be learned. We're very excited about that. And he's helping us a great deal. He's really excited to see our project, Copper Mountain, advance when it was on the cusp in 1979 of being a mine. So there's much more to tell. Please take a look at us, and I look forward to questions. I'm ready for that when you are. This is our final page. You can contact me anytime, everybody. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you for the great presentation, Thomas. That was well explained, and I think it's quite clear. Also, the graph at the end of the drilling of BH, which was vertical, and then they missed, well, part of it and so on, is quite self-explanatory by itself. We do have a few minutes in front of us, so we do have already questions. If anyone else has some question, please, time will now be to ask them and write them either in the Q&A or in the chat box. So Andre is asking, who will be the mine in the area of Wyoming there? So who will be the first mine in the area of Wyoming there? Thank you for specifying, Andre. Do you have a wild guess? That's the question here.
Is he asking when we will be mining? Or what?
No, he's not. He's asking who will be the first to be mining up there. So basically,
oh, geez, in Wyoming. That's a great question. Yeah, that's right. So I said 4 out of the 5 principal mining projects in the U.S. are in Wyoming. That's accurate. That's right. Who will actually start producing and sending their material to the mill? I'm guessing Peninsula at its Lance project. I think they might be producing by the end of this year. They're getting their chemistry right. They had an alkaline chemistry historically, and they've switched to an acid chemistry. And Wayne Healy, the CEO, is doing an
Yep.
excellent job. I think they're going to be on track shortly. Take a look at
Okay, but
Peninsula.
enough promotion on their side. If they want to promote, they are invited to the IIF, but that's enough here. We're here to discuss your project, Thomas.
Sure.
When do you expect to announce more drilling results? We know it doesn't come in the one shot, so do you have
Yeah.
a timeline?
Okay. Well, we're going to be most likely announcing probe results in chunks.
Yep.
And probably within the next 2 weeks, you'll see probe results announced for the first set of holes. And then chemical assays will follow 2 months later for whatever batches of holes that get sent to the laboratory. So I think stay tuned for drill results.
Perfect. Question off the beaten track. Surely you got that already. Why is it called Copper Mountain if it's
Yeah,
uranium they
there are a
have there?
lot of copper mountains, a lot of mountains called Copper Mountain
Yeah,
up and down the Rockies. I think it has to do with the color of the rocks at sunrise, sunset. They look red. Now an old copper mine not far away, so that could be the
maybe
connection.
also from that. All right. Okay. So coming back to uranium, obviously this is something that you touch. I think that just like any commodity companies, it's very hard to outpace the commodity itself. If the price are low, it's hard for companies to have big market cap and so on. We are, yes, coming into a more, no matter, it's not election related, but more a US first kind of idea here, no matter which one,
Yeah.
left or right, center, who wins, it doesn't matter. Everyone's starting to understand the how critical supply chains are. Can you expand a bit more on what's happening in Africa right now regarding uranium? What's happening with the French that had a big position in Africa? French are walking out of, are being pushed
Yeah.
away. Russians are there everywhere. The uranium market seems the ground is moving. The tectonic plates are moving, and
Yeah.
it's ready for realignment. What do you see?
So I think I do. I've always thought that Kazakhstan is going to go to Russia and to a lesser extent China. Africa, it's very tempting for dictators and juntas and things to align themselves with Russia and China because they can all be friends. They don't like democracies. They don't like transparency. So Western companies, Western governments, France, etc., are going to be ejected from countries that where the leadership does not want transparency. And so you're going to see that in Africa. I think it's going to continue. It's already very advanced, obviously, in West Africa. Mali, Chad, Burkina Faso, Niger are ejecting the French. They're even starting to, Niger has ejected the Americans too from their base. That's a very ominous sign for Niger, in my view. Fortunately for Niger, they've got DASA. It's a wonderful project. Global Atomic is a great company. So we'll see how that works, that shapes up. Russia and China are, I think the world will get divided into East and West in relation to uranium. So the best possible place you can be is in a solid Western country producing uranium.
All right, perfect. And one little second before we ended up with our last presentation, which is going to be big digital assets in a few seconds. Is a timeline under 10 years possible to permit and put such an asset in production?
Yeah, especially because we have a conventional deposit, we may end up with in situ, but conventional, there's good chances to produce near much faster than an in situ project for various reasons. And also we're brownfield. We have 2, 3, 4 historical mines on our site. They were producing, gives us a big advantage.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for your time, Thomas. Thank you for the presentation. You have all the
Pleasure.
contact details. If you are interested, want to continue follow the story and get more detailed answered, please don't hesitate to write Thomas at his email or even call him. Thank you very much, Thomas. We'll be very excited to follow the story. And it's always more exciting when share price are raising to have you guys in the presentation. I find smiling easier.
Absolutely. Me too. Yeah. That's the
All
way it
right.
is. Yeah.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.